My name is Giovanna Bernal. I'm a Panama attorney with more than 15 years of experience for the one that doesn't know me. And this time I'm so excited because we're going to have an interview with Nikki McCord from McCord Speaks. Nikki, welcome to this interview.
Thank you. Gracias por tenerme. Estoy emocionado de estar aquí.
Muy bien, muchas gracias. We are also so excited to have you here, and your Spanish is getting better and better. That's really good.
Thank you. I've been practicing.
That's good. That's great. Nikki, I have you here because I really wanted to have others to get to know you, and this is why I invite you to this interview. I want you to introduce yourself and tell us about barriers that people in business have when they experience that they want to come to Panama, or they want to start a business, or they want to do any project, but there is a problem in the middle in the process that they don't do it. There is something that stops them to making that decision and making that happen.
Yes, thank you for that, Giovanna. Thank you for that question. I see that a lot in my business. I think that a lot of people are ruled by fear, especially when they're undertaking something that is new and unexpected. And so I see that in starting the process of moving to Panama, whether you're moving to Panama for leisure, whether you're retiring, or if you're doing something like I did and you're actually starting a business or expanding your business in Panama. And I see that fear. And one of the things that I like to talk to my clients about is, how do we overcome that fear? How do we overcome the status quo? The status quo is when we continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. And a lot of times when we do the same thing over and over again, we don't get to different results. We don't get to new results. And so in order to get to a new business offering, start a new life, learn a new language, you have to be able to break out of that comfort zone and overcome the status quo. So that's something that I see in businesses, whether teams are taking on new projects, whether business leaders are leading their teams in new ways, or whether you're just personally stepping out of your comfort zone and pursuing a new opportunity. It's that fear that rules us. And so how are we going to empower ourselves, and how can we seek being in concert with others to help empower ourselves to break out of that status quo?
That's great. And that's part of your job. That's what you do, right, Nikki? And tell me about your story. I'm curious because you had to do it. You had to go and decide to come to Panama to open a new business, get residency, get out of your comfort zone. I know it's difficult for a lot of people, as you mentioned, but tell me a little bit about your story, and how did you end up starting that story of you and your business and the extension of your business in Panama?
Yes, absolutely. So I think the first thing that I want to say is, it's important to not do things on your own. It's important to have partners. And so one of the very first things that I did was I partnered with Black expats in Panama. And they were a fantastic resource to help me understand the lay of the land in Panama and help connect me to other people who could help me along in this process. And honestly, that's how I met you, Giovanna, through those networks. And so I knew that I wanted to change. I knew that I wanted to expand my business internationally, and I had no idea how to do that. And so, Giovanna, we had an initial conversation, and you told me about the Friendly Nations visa and the different ways that I could think about, applying for residency in Panama through that visa process. And so one of those options was to start a business in Panama. It's nothing that I ever thought that I would be doing, but I took a leap of faith. And let me tell you a little bit about my business. So I have McCord Consulting Group. So McCord Consulting Group, it turned 10 years old in 2023. So this month,
Wow.
McCord Consulting Group turned 10 years old. And in my business, I'm a facilitator, and I work with businesses to help them solve complex problems. And being in this business for 10 years, I learned a lot from my clients, and I saw some patterns emerge. And that's why I decided to expand and start McCord Speaks, which is my public speaking branch of McCord Consulting Group. And through McCord Speaks, I actually talk to business leaders, organizations about how do we empower ourselves and how do we empower our teams so that we can make better decisions and we can break out of that status quo. And so this was actually a perfect opportunity for me to expand into Panama, because not only could I talk to new and potential clients about strategic facilitation, but I could also have an entry point to introduce myself to the Panamanians in the country and introduce myself through my public speaking arm. And so I worked with you, Giovanna, to start a branch of McCord Speaks and McCord Consulting Group in Panama. It was an easy process, I have to say. And the reason why it was an easy process is because I had a partner. So as we talk about doing new things, expanding into new markets, having that partnership is super important because you can lean on other people's expertise. And so I didn't have to spend the time and the resources researching, what was the friendly nations visa, researching how to communicate with the immigration department, how to communicate with the Ministry of Labor. I could really let Giovanna focus on that, while I focused on creating business contacts in Panama so that once all of my paperwork was approved and I had my work visa in hand, I could actually start making relationships with the business community in Panama.
That's great. Congratulations on your anniversary. That's a lot of time. 10 years is a lot. So congratulations, Nikki.
Thank you so much.
And how was your experience when you came to Panama? How do you feel in this country?
Me gusta Panama. I love Panama. What I love about Panama is there's so much industry. Panama City is the largest and most developed city in Central America. And so one of the things that I love about Panama City is there's lots of industry. There's banking, there's tech, there's import export. The internet is fantastic. And so there's high-speed internet. So not only can I work with clients in Panama, but I can also service my clients in the United States when I'm in Panama. The Panamanians are very friendly, very warm. I made friends. My goodness, I haven't been in Panama for very long, and I've actually made friends, like social friends in Panama, just because people have just been really, really nice. I find the city very easy to navigate. There's Uber, and so there's lots of opportunities to be able to get around in the city. There's always something going on. And so even from an experience that's not a business experience, just from a social experience, I found that there's always something that I can get involved in. I participated in the Panama Jazz Festival when I visited in January. And I got to go to workshops and learn more about different instruments and different types of music, as well as just enjoy the scenery and the music. The weather is amazing in Panama. The weather cannot be beat. People say that it's humid, and it is humid, but I think that humidity is fantastic for the skin. and so I really enjoy the weather in Panama as well. So I don't have any complaints about the people. The other thing that I want to say about the business community in Panama, because I think this is very important, and I've been thinking about this a lot, especially since I am coming up on my 10-year anniversary, and I've been thinking a lot about what it was like to start my business 10 years ago in the United States. And that's really what I'm doing in Panama right now. I'm starting over. I'm making new business connections. I'm establishing myself. I'm introducing myself. And I have to say that I find that there's a lot of similarities between when I started my business 10 years ago and starting my business in Panama. People have been very open to meeting with me. to speaking with me, doors are open here. What I've experienced in Panama, it's not a closed system. It's not a system of, we don't know you, so we're not going to talk to you. No, I meet one person who introduces me to another person who makes a connection with another person. And so that's an experience that I had similarly here in the United States. And so that transfer has been really great for me. And I really do feel like now that I have my paperwork in order, my business has been established, I can really now focus on, establishing clients, furthering those relationships that I'm starting to make. I also have to say, Giovanna, the internet is wonderful. And because Panama City is one of the most developed cities in Central America, the internet makes it easy to communicate with new contacts as well. And so not only was I taking meetings when I was in Panama and I was meeting face-to-face with people, since I've been back in the United States, I've been taking a lot of meetings through Zoom as well. And I think that because Panama has such an amazing technological infrastructure, that allows me to introduce myself to new contacts while I'm in the United States. And so then when I return back to Panama, I already have that entry point, and I'm not starting, from ground zero when I get back to Panama. I've already made these connections through Zoom. I've built relationships with contacts. And so when I return to Panama, it's just a really easy transition to continue to get the ball moving in terms of developing business.
Panama has a lot of multinational companies, organizations that related to international business, transportation, logistics. Our economy is based on services. And when you introduced me about your services as a public speaker and also as someone very knowledgeable that could bring a lot of value to companies in Panama, I thought that it was a great idea also for you to explain what you do and how can you improve leaders, their behavior in Panama, in their organizations, on their leadership skills and also on their productivity. I think there's a lot of things to do here, and you can also apply that your knowledge and experience to offer that to organizations in Panama.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll focus on two things. So the leadership skills and then the productivity. So in terms of leadership skills, one of the things that I've seen with leaders through my business is the ability to coalesce their teams. And so it's not so much that a leader has a good idea and wants to go forward. It's easier to go forward when you have consensus from your team. And the way that you get that consensus is when you build trust with your team and you bring them in so that each team member knows what their role is in order to get to this new goal that we have that's outside of the status quo. And so what I like to talk to leaders about, and I like to empower leaders, is to find out how to establish that trust with your teams. A lot of times that trust is established through open communication. So making sure that you have a good idea of who your team members are, you know what their strengths and weaknesses are, and that you're giving them activities that really respond to their strengths and weaknesses as well. So that's what I really focus on when we talk about leadership and empowering leaders. Now, how does that translate into productivity? Well, once you as a leader have coalesced your team, it's easier to then take those ideas and lead them to execution because you're not working alone. We talked about that at the beginning of our conversation, Giovanna, how I said that when I came to Panama, I wanted to find a partner. I did not want to do this on my own. I wanted to find people who had expertise in certain areas so that they could work on what they were really good at and I could work on what I was really good at. And that's what I want teams to do as well. As a leader, you are, the manager. You're guiding the ship in different places. but you're going to need people on that ship who, I love that I brought up the ship metaphor because Panama Canal, right? We talk about ships all the time in Panama, but that you have different workers on the ship, right? And as the leader, you can't do it all. You can't read the map and navigate the ship and watch out for danger. You can't do everything alone. And so how do you empower, as a leader, how do you empower your team members to take on responsibilities so that the division of labor is divided among your team members that will lead you to better productivity? So it's empowering leaders to have confidence in themselves, to have the courage, confidence, and fearlessness to pursue a new path. And then also empowering those leaders to coalesce and build consensus with their teams so that they can lead, so that the team can go from ideation to execution in a new way as well.
So Nikki, I'm curious, how can you offer your services being based in the US and also in Panama? I wanted to know if you're gonna do, you offer also digital services like from far or in person. Tell me about it. I'm curious.
Yes, absolutely. So the power of technology. I do offer my services both in person and virtually as well. And so I give public speaking addresses through webinar. I can give them through Zoom, as well as giving them in person. And that works with facilitation as well. If there's one thing that we learned through the pandemic, it's we have to be flexible and we have to be agile. And believe it or not, I have facilitated countless engagements and facilitations through Zoom. And so that's something that I'm excited to offer to Panamanian businesses as well. Maybe you're not in a position to have someone present or meet in person, and maybe you want to do it virtually. Maybe you're a multinational organization and you have employees not only in Panama, but in the United States or in Europe or in Africa or in other countries as well. The power of the web allows us to be able to meet and connect virtually. And so I will be offering services to Panamanian organizations, both in person and virtually.
That's great. We look forward to it. And Nikki, we would like you to give us your last message, considering and your experience, and also what can you tell our viewers about getting out of that comfort zone, to those viewers that want to expand their business to another country or do something new?
Wow, that's a really good question. When I talk about breaking free of the status quo and overcoming mediocrity, it's not just a talk. I walk the talk as well. I've done it myself. I left my home country. I started a business in a brand new country. I am not fluent in Spanish, but I'm learning. I'm learning every single day. I've made new friends. From not knowing anyone in Panama to actually now having friends, social friends, business connections. I'm having brand new experiences that I've never had before. Overcoming mediocrity and breaking free of the status quo is not just some message that I have. I am living it and embodying it as well. And so I feel that this allows me to speak authentically to businesses and leaders about how they can be successful in starting something new, leaving their comfort zone as well.
That's great. And finally, Nikki, tell us, how can we reach you? How can we reach your company?
Excellent. So you can reach me by going to my website. That's McCordSpeaks.com, and we'll have a little placard so you can actually see that. And I'm on all social media platforms at McCord Speaks. So I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, if you want to get in contact with me further, that's how you can find me.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I'm so glad we did this, and hopefully we will meet soon.
Thank you so much, Giovanna. It has been a pleasure to sit down with you, and I cannot wait to see you the next time I'm in Panama.
Great, Nikki. See you next time. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.